Hello, readers. Welcome to 20 Questions with Your Favorite Author, where we ask authors important questions like, why would you agree to be on this podcast? I'm Kelly Lynn Colby, Editorial Director at Cursed Dragon Ship Publishing. Our guest this week is Frank Morin, fantasy thriller writer and outdoor enthusiast. Frank is a storyteller and an eager traveler. He's the author of fast-paced, grab-you-by-the-eyeballs and don't-let-go adventures, full of explosive magic, huge adventure, and brilliant humor. If he's not your favorite now, he will be after. Welcome, Frank. Welcome.
Hi there. Thank you. Happy to be with you today.
Yes, thank you for filling in last minute. I couldn't have been luckier to get you on here.
Hey, you have to fight to get into this podcast, so glad I could make it.
I'm so glad to have you. You know, I love that you categorize your work as contemporary fantasy thrillers. Like, it completely sums them up so well. Like, how did you coin that phrase?
By failing at a whole lot of other ones.
Oh, so like life. Okay, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I consider myself a pretty decent writer. Probably better than at least 5% of the people out there.
5%.
So I've got two series. I've got my Petrolist epic young adult epic fantasy, and then my Face Takers. I have called several different things, and the readers are like, "Yeah, that's not exactly what it is." This is a pretty unique story. So
right.
I now have the term contemporary fantasy thriller, and throw in other stuff that people like. Well, that sounds interesting, rather than, "Oh, you're a hack." Okay.
Yeah, they don't take you seriously if you don't know what category to put it in, do they?
That's right. Yeah. So I'm extremely skilled and experienced in miscategorizing some of my work. So when you talk with people who are good at marketing and they're like, do all of these things, yeah, I don't do those. I'm trying to. Or if they say, don't make all of these mistakes, I'm like, yeah, I can tell you by experience on pretty much every one of those that don't do that. They're right. It doesn't work.
Like, it's just not working.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just got to write the next book. You don't have any more time to do that research,
right. That's what I tell myself. Marketing is for hacks. I'm going to go write another book. Just
going to go write a book.
That's
who cares if I'm the only one who likes it? Or who finds it, not likes it, right? It's the finding that's the problem, not the liking, because you are actually quite a talented writer.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. I do have some fans, and that's great. And trying to get the word out to the other ones, and it's a journey, that's for sure.
For sure, biggest challenge as far as I'm concerned. So, how long did it take you to write your first book?
My first written book or my first published book?
Let's go written.
Okay, so I first started writing about 17 years ago, honestly. When I was a kid, I wanted to write, and then I realized in college I wanted a job where I could actually get paid.
Where you could pay your bills, yeah.
Where I could, know that I had an income. And then about 17 years ago, roughly, I got the writing bug again, and I was like, I got to do this. So I sat down. My wife was out of town with the youngest, and my other kids didn't eat much that weekend. And I wrote like 50 or 60 pages in one weekend.
Oh, wow. Now that's passion right there.
Yeah, my wife got home and I was like, I'm going to write a book. And she's like, oh, really?
She's like, okay, dear.
And so since then, she has come to realize I was serious. Quite a few books in. And I actually spent 4 years writing my first book. It was an enormous 300,000 word epic fantasy monstrosity that was going to change the world, which of course it didn't. I eventually became a good enough writer to understand all the reasons why
it didn't work, right?
Wouldn't work for anyone but me.
Yep.
So I spent a year and a half rewriting it into a 200,000 word short novel. And it actually spent several years being looked at by some traditional publishers who all ended up saying, this is amazing, we love it, but no. So that one is still out there. I haven't actually released it yet. I got the first two in that series done. It's kind of classic epic fantasy with wizards and heroes and, evil villains and
the fun stuff.
So awesome. Love that story.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, I started writing my young adult stories,
Mhm.
The Petrolist, and my Face Taker stories,
Mhm.
uh, and eventually said, I'm going to jump into this self-publishing bandwagon. It was about 5 or 6 years ago I started doing that, and my very first book, I put it out there and didn't tell anybody. Just slipped it out there just to make sure no one would notice. And surprisingly, nobody noticed.
Who knew?
It's funny how that works. So I've
Right.
gotten a little better at marketing since then,
Uh-huh.
and better at writing. And I've got 2 completed series now.
Mm.
In the last 5 or 6 years, I've released like 15 novels, I think, and a
Wow.
few short stories. And they're big novels. I mean, if I was smarter, again, I would have broken these 250,000 word novels, some of them, into 3 different books, and I'd have a series of 30 books instead of 10, you know. Um, but I like a big fat epic fantasy.
And you're not the only one. Yeah.
I'm a fan of Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson, and the
Mm-hmm.
ones that you can throw at a tank and the tank kind of breaks. Um, those are the
Rolls on
books
its
that I write.
side. Yeah.
So yeah, they're fun and they're huge, and there's tons of plot and tons of characters and cool magic, and
Mm.
that's what I do.
So much fun. Well, so as you talked about your journey, is there something you do differently now than when you first started writing?
Oh sure.
Mhm.
When I first started, I think I started like a lot of people who were
Mhm.
pantsers, just kind of writing into the fog to see where it goes. And then every 50 pages, you're like, oh, wait a minute. If I did this, that would work better. So you
This
go
would
and
be cool.
you go rewrite, the first 100 pages, then you get to
Again.
150, and you're like, oh, wait, let's go rewrite. Yeah, that's why my first book took 4 years, because
Yeah.
I'm determined, but not necessarily smart in those ways. So now I try to plot enough so that I don't have to do that.
Hmm.
Um, Although I
Just minor
am,
surprises instead of full rewrites, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I am still, I'd call myself the king of rewrites because some of my books, they're big and they're huge and they're complex. And so you start making changes, it can get pretty wild sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to put in the time to do the rewrites and the edits so that the books reach their full potential. Um, I don't know about you, but I read enough books that were almost great. And I've
Right?
always found that heartbreaking because you see people who put in all this work, but they didn't, we get impatient as writers. We want to throw it out there and be like, look, I got it done.
Right.
But when you throw it out there at 90%, it's almost good. And that's
Hmm.
kind of the worst thing I think you could say about a book because it's like
Yeah.
if you put in that other 5%, it'd be great. So I don't want anyone to say my books are almost good. Either tell me they're awesome or tell me I'm a hack and it's terrible and I know that you have no taste. And that's
One way or
okay.
another, you want people to feel passionately about it.
That's right.
That's right.
Feel my books, have passion with them,
That's
and
right.
go buy a
I
few
like that.
more. That's all you
I
got to
like that.
do.
That's right. It's funny how many people be like, "Oh, this book was horrible," and the third book, I'm like, "Well, why'd you keep? If it could not have been that horrible if you're now on the third book,
That's
you
right.
know."
If you hate
So
my books and keep buying them,
you
please
know
email
what?
me about every single one.
It's all good. My kids got to
Yeah,
go to college, right?
that's right.
That's right. So I will have to say, I'm glad that you feel for this passion because you do like to torture your poor characters.
Of course.
Oh my gosh. And let's see. So Set in Stone, just so not even talking about the beginning of the book, just the back cover copy where you have your main character is cursed and must find a patron before his 16th birthday or he'll be executed. And the
Yep.
book starts the day before his 16th birthday. I mean,
Yeah.
that alone, I just, why, what, why do you hate your characters? What's
I
this?
love my characters, you know. But I don't know about you. I have kids, and you try to teach them about procrastination and how that's a bad thing.
Oh,
Sometimes you got to learn the lesson the hard way.
yeah, literally the hard way.
Really, 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 really hard way. Um, but that series, despite all of those challenges, actually there's a lot of humor in it,
Mhm,
um, and a lot of serious stuff. There's
mhm.
that whole, if he leaves, everyone he loves will die, probably. If he stays, he'll probably be executed. And some days are just like that. So It's great, huge cast of characters, four main point of view characters in that book. Connor, his friend Hamish, who has a habit of sucking on rocks. The whole
who doesn't?
unlocking, yeah, it unlocks an ancient power not seen in generations. Their friend Jean is the local healer. She's got no magic, but she's the smartest person anybody knows. And then Verena is one of the invaders, and she has a bag of tricks that can stop entire armies. So they're the four main characters that get thrown into these crazy adventures together, kind of learning, who they are and what they can do and what's really going on in the world. Kind of a classic coming of age, epic, young adult fantasy.
My favorite stories, hands down.
Super fun. Super fun.
I love them. I love them. Og wants to know, he's got a very, very important question. He wants to know if your hat is actually leather.
It is.
You called it, Og. It is leather. Look at that, baby.
Yeah. I like a good hat. And I tend to wear my hiking hat is fabric and is made in Canada, so it actually floats if you fall in the river, things like that. But when I'm not outside on the trail sweating and everything, I prefer this hat. I got a bunch of different big hats, but this is my current favorite. It's pretty sweet.
I love it. I like it. Looks nice. Let's see.
Thanks for noticing it. It makes me feel good.
See? Well, it's become kind of part of your author persona, right? Like, do you ever go anywhere as an author without one of the hats?
No.
No, right? Like, that's part of...
Because people I know you were coming, so I was just looking for the hat. And it was funny. I went to LTUE this back in February, and was talking with Dan Wells. I don't know if you don't know Dan Wells, but he's awesome.
Met him at Superstars, right? Yeah.
That's right. The I Am Not a Serial Killer author, among many other things.
Read that one.
And he's also a hat guy, cool hat. And he was joking. He's like, Frank, I got to come up with a different look, like a beret or something, because you got that cool hat on, and you're making my hat feel jealous. And I was like,
he's like, your hat's cooler than mine. It's not fair.
It was pretty funny. So I was like, no, your hat's awesome, dude. In fact, I would be happy to take it.
Can you sign it too? Thanks. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
I'd totally buy him a beret and swap it and call it good. But yeah, he's got a good hat too. I think he went to Germany when he was pretty new, and he had his big hat. And that ended up being a big selling point because everyone was like, let's go meet the crazy American cowboy, So I haven't had that experience yet, but I'm hoping to go somewhere and have that happen. And
we really want to go to the Frankfurt Book Festival. That's on our wish list, right? Yeah, it's on our wish list. So that's probably what Dan went to. I'm gonna guess.
Yeah. I've been many places, but not there yet.
Yep, that would be fun. I want you to know that the audience is agreeing. Og says that he wanted to kill his kids when they were 16 too. Were they cursed, Og? Were they cursed? They were cursed with your genes and your sense of humor. See, that's your fault.
So the question you'd have to start asking people is, if you could curse your kids, what would you curse them with?
Oh.
And usually you don't want to answer that out loud because that might come up in court someday.
Yeah, but let's face it, we're writers. If we were going to curse our kids, it would be very creative.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yes, it would be a creative curse. And I'd actually have to think about that.
I was on one panel, I think it's Salt Lake, FanX, talking about all the reasons why we're probably on different government watch lists because of different Google searches we do about, pretty awesome. How do you remove blood out of a trunk? Or, yeah. So you get that dark SUV driving by once a week. I just wave now. It's okay.
You're like, yep, I'm at my desk. Same.
I'm still here.
Yep.
So
you can tell I never leave the house enough to kill anyone. Sorry, I don't have the time. I'm too busy writing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with everything listening to us now too. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I was going to write a book about that, but reality got there first.
I'm sure there's still a lot in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So with my other series, my Face Takers, my contemporary fantasy thrillers, that's one though it starts in the near future and they start going back into history through the memories of some people who have been living for thousands of years. And it's awesome. So you get some cool mixture of history and technology and almost a Matrix effects in places and pretty awesome stuff.
So is that your new series you're working on?
No, that's the one. That one's also finished. That's the Face Takers, which is
Oh, so that's where it goes. I actually had a
Memory
question about
Hunter.
that because I was so thrilled at the beginning. So the first book, it reminds me of Dollhouse by Joss Whedon. Do you remember that TV show he had? Right?
Yeah.
So the TV show, and the problem is it only lasts like 6 episodes. It wasn't really because it
Right.
was bad. It's really because it had nowhere to go.
Mhm.
It's like once you take down the company, well, that's it now. What do you do now? So you take down the company in book 1 for your Face Taker series. So I'm wondering, so where did you go from there? Like what was the continuous journey?
Well, the cool thing is book 1, Saving Face, is Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah's the main character. That's kind of her journey.
Mm-hmm.
She starts working for this company where body renting is possible. And it's this great technology, but it turns out there's some deeper, darker secrets in there.
Mm-hmm.
And her body gets scheduled to be sold. So that's kind of a problem.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair.
So while she's fighting to escape with body and soul intact before becoming the ultimate orphan with no body at all, she gets a glimpse into what's really going on and has her clash with these dark forces that are controlling things behind the scenes. So the company is a front for some much darker things. And as you get into Memory Hunter, which is the next book, she gets drawn into this secret war between these shadowy groups that have been around for millennia, kind of controlling things in the shadows. And they have these powers based on the human soul. And their war kind of comes into this new battleground, which is history. So they found this way to couple technology and magic to go back into history because one group is looking to steal power from history to reshape the future.
Interesting.
So in Memory Hunter, they end up at the fall of Berlin, World War II, as all this is coming out and they're figuring out what's going on. And in the next 2, they go back all through the history of Rome and then all the way back to ancient China and ancient Egypt in Aeon Champion, where they're kind of digging out the roots of this conspiracy that's been thousands of years in the making.
How fun!
So if you like a lot of action and a lot of guns and monsters and a lot of history and cool thriller, pacing and stuff, it's a great series.
I don't see now. That sounds like an excuse to get lost in like Wikipedia. Like, did you ever like go to research something? You know, like you were like, I just need to know who the emperor was. And suddenly you know all about ancient language. Like, what did you get lost when you were researching?
Oh yeah, I have to leave breadcrumbs behind when I go into Wikipedia now. It's crazy, you know. So my wife is like, "You're back, huh? I thought you were gone, you know, at a business trip for a week." It's like, no, it was, you know, that Wikipedia thing. It just black hole, leading me to other things.
But let me tell you all the useless things I know now.
I know a lot of useless things. Let me tell you.
Me too.
So that's super fun. You know, in each book, I did enormous amounts of research. We actually traveled a fair bit doing research. We traveled to Italy to go to Rome and other places. We went through, went to Florence and we went to Tuscany. And there's a little country inside of Italy that's not the Vatican. It's called San Marino. It's this little tiny country. It's like 20 square miles up on this beautiful little hill with this gorgeous castle. So we went to San Marino because they set a whole series of scenes in San Marino. And we went to Egypt and we went to China.
Did you go to Giza?
I didn't make it to Giza.
Oh, I need to see that. That is on my bucket list.
We went all through. Maybe I did go to Giza.
It's where the pyramids are.
Yeah, actually we did. I was thinking a different Giza.
Sorry.
If there's a different Giza, I don't know.
Who knows? I'm a little obsessed. So
if you're gonna go to Egypt, you see Egypt on the river cruises because their roads are terrible.
Yeah.
So the only really way to see Egypt is you go on this river cruise. And so at night it floats down to the next stop, and during the day you take these guided tours and stuff to different temples and historical sites and things like that. And we ended up in the pyramids. We took a camel ride around the pyramids and stuff.
Oh,
super fun. And the guy who was telling us about the pyramids used to like run the Egyptian Museum of History or something. but they like wouldn't pay his wages. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to be a tour guide and get tips. So it's like one of the guys who was like a leading historian and Egyptologist was walking us around the pyramids, telling us about him. So unbelievable. Super fun.
That is so cool.
It was incredible.
That's nice. Yeah, no, I've been obsessed. That's the first thing I ever wrote about when I was 18. Never finished it, obviously. I was 18. But I didn't really know you could do this for a living. I don't know why. I read a bazillion books. You think I would have figured out somebody did that for a living. But that's the first thing I wrote about. Yep. I was obsessed.
Super fun.
Mystic, which is Tara. You should know Tara. She says Wikipedia is going down the rabbit hole. And yes, it is.
That's right.
I always come up with more ideas than I have any possibility of finishing. It's like what's the writer equivalent to the to be read pile? Like, the to be written pile? I don't know. We've got both impressive piles.
I've got files and files. Sorry, my dog ran in behind me.
That's all good. Animals increase viewage. No, we're good. Animals are fine. This is positive for streaming.
Well, he's our little dog who had to have his leg amputated a couple weeks ago.
Oh, a couple weeks ago? Well, he's doing good if he's scurrying out there behind you.
He's moving around. Toby. I don't know if you can see him over there.
Oh, handsome.
Toby.
He's like, what? He's like, what? What are you talking about?
He's super cute. But
he is super cute.
He's up and about quite a bit. He gets all depressed when we have to put his cone on because he, gnaws at the scar and stuff. And you put it on, he just kind of flops, and he's like, life isn't worth living. And then you take the cone off, and he jumps up, and he's like, let's go outside.
He's like, I'm happy again.
So funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's recovering well.
That's pretty cool. Sweet baby. Yeah, our puppy, no longer a puppy, but she's not old to have, she's 8. So she should have a few good more years in her, but she has busted out both of her ACLs in her back legs. No. She has busted, her hips now are out because she was favoring them because of the ACLs. And I'm just like, so we're just doing the best we can to limp her along. But she was so nimble. So I guess she was so nimble that she just, like any athlete would, she just wore them out.
That's hard.
I know. So it's very tough because her brain is perfect, right? Like she follows you around. You can see her ears moving and she wants to come get to the door and she can't anymore. And poor baby.
That's hard.
It's hard when they're suffering, It's like they shouldn't suffer.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
I agree.
But he's getting there, and
good.
He's a nimble little dog, so I think he'll be fine.
Yeah.
They're very adaptive.
They definitely are. That's for sure. I'm like, if I hurt as bad as she probably hurts, I would be complaining a lot more than she does. She's a saint. This puppy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're wimps. Humans are the wimps. But yes. Now I'm like stuck on Egypt and stuff. That's so much fun and so clever too.
It was fun. And then we went to China as well and saw the Forbidden City. And it's funny, we landed in China and our first day was going to see the Forbidden City. And it was beautiful blue skies. And, we're like, this is great. And our tour guide was like, you guys have no idea how unusual this is. And eventually, a couple days later, when all the smog came back, because we had landed right after a big winter storm and it had blown all the smog.
That washed everything away.
When it came back and the air quality jumped up to like 500 particles per, whatever
it is.
We're like, yeah, this is horrible. But we had a great first day in Beijing. It was amazing. And we went to the wall and we went to see the terracotta warriors and all of that stuff. And, you do all this research and you've got, 100 pages of research and you can put like a page and a half into the book. You just kind of sprinkle what you can in there.
Right. Yeah.
I wish I could put a lot more in, but you don't want to turn it into a historical treatise, unfortunately. I should probably write one of those, except I have no credentials at all. So it'd be fun.
Well, you lose the thriller part if you bog us down with backstory, right? So.
But history is crazier than anything I could write.
That's also true. And not until I started writing did I realize how true that statement is. The one where reality is crazier than fiction. Yeah, and I'm like, how is that possible?
Fiction
right, but you write things things happen in real
Mhm.
life. You're like, if I wrote that, no one would believe it.
No.
They would be like, you can't write that. That's nonsense. I've told people you can't write that. I'm sorry. I know it could probably happen, but nobody's going to believe this. It doesn't work with this character. Right. And
Yeah.
so it's funny how real that becomes once you actually start writing.
But at the same, yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, you can do some really fun stuff with your characters
Hmm.
that is so far out there. But as long as it's consistent within the story
Hmm.
and it makes sense within the story, then you can
Right.
totally do it.
Then you can make it
Like
work.
like
Hmm.
my Petrolus books,
Hmm.
one of my main characters, Hamish, starts off as mostly a sidekick, kind of the
Hmm.
funny sidekick.
Hmm.
He's gangly and he falls a lot and he's clumsy,
And eats
but
rocks, apparently.
he's developed that clumsiness to an art, right? And he's the one
Oh.
who's always chewing on things or eating
Hmm.
something, including rocks.
Hmm.
Um, but his love for food ends up growing to the point where he becomes like an internationally renowned like food diplomat, and he's like creating, um, you agreements between nations based on sharing recipe books and stuff like that. And it's super funny, but
Awesome.
and it's
But it
totally
works.
consistent. And it's totally consistent for his character, you
Oh,
know.
yeah. If you're
And
obsessed with taste and stuff, it makes sense you'd be an amazing chef.
yeah, so it's kind of one of those things that we just play with through the whole series, and it never gets old because everybody likes food. And
Well, you know what? It makes sense to me now too, because remember when I asked the question about you torturing, your characters, which means torturing us, by the way, because we like them and bond with them, and now we're being tortured.
mhm,
But so you
sure,
have that other stuff in there, right, to make it a little more bearable. You have something else happening to balance it out, which is
oh yeah,
vital. It's why I can't. Grim Dark isn't much for me. I need that other leavening agent,
sure.
since we're talking about cooking, to actually help me get through it. So that sounds like you have a really nice balance going on.
Yeah, my stories, my face takers are probably a little darker because it's more adult oriented.
Hmm.
I have a lot of adults who love reading the Petrolist
Hmm.
because it is a fun, epic story where the characters do go through some amazingly crazy and horrific things.
Hmm.
But at heart, I'm an optimist. So at some point, at least
Hmm.
one of my characters is going to crawl out of the woods and probably, survive
And make it. They're
because,
gonna make it.
you
Well,
know,
speaking of crawling out of the woods, Friday Blue wants to know which character would you like to take you for a tour in their home? Like, who
which
would you
character
go
do
with
I
on a
want?
tour of
Who
their
would I go
world?
with on a tour? That's a
Hmm.
great question.
That is a really good
Um,
question.
and I could probably pick half a dozen of my characters that I would love to go hang out with because I hang out
How
with
long
them
you
all the
got, Jenny?
time.
How long you got?
These are all my friends.
Right.
They don't let me outside much. And so my wife, when she gets home, she's like, "You're by yourself all day. You bored?" It's like, "No, we're having a party." Um, this guy kind of got beat up, but we're working through it. He's got some issues, but me and all my friends, we go all over the place together.
That's
But to
awesome.
answer the question,
Uh-huh.
in the Face Takers, um, in the Face Taker series, I'd say there's this really cool guy named Gregorios who's been around a very long time.
Name.
It's a
Yeah.
great name, and
Hmm.
he is super boss. So you think about that guy who's been around the block and he just knows
Hmm.
how to deal with stuff.
Hmm.
He's that guy, and you want to be his
Nice.
friend because you don't want to be his enemy.
Ooh.
But he's got some stories to tell that didn't even make it in the book, and hanging out with him would be amazing. But he actually started that series. He's not the main character because your main character has to be the character that grows the most, that draw
Right.
the reader through the world.
Can't be the
Gregorius
one
has
who's
been
already been there
there.
and done that. Yeah.
He's been there and he's done that,
Hmm.
6 times
Hmm.
and then done it again. Um, so he's one of the mentor characters,
Hmm.
which is super fun.
Hmm.
And he goes through some of his own challenges, but he's that guy who has the answers sort of thing. Um, but he actually started the whole series because I had this freaky dream a few years ago.
Hmm.
This was a series that started with a dream about this guy who was trying to save his wife. And to do so, he had to extract her soul from her body and put it in a different body. Turns out he could go around and remove a human soul by pulling their face off. and their soul would come with the face, kind of like, and then you could put that on another body. Hence, the series is called The Face Takers.
What a great idea to wake up with.
So I woke up and I was like, either I'm going to have like emotional scars and need like counseling, or I better write this down.
Or both.
Or both. I haven't admitted any counseling yet, but I keep tabling that.
That's right.
So that became the start of the Face Takers. But as I went into it, I'm like, and he became developed. I'm like, this guy is awesome. One of my sons, that's his favorite character of mine of all time. He's like Gregorios, yeah. Super fun. But then I developed the character, kind of Sarah stepped into the picture and kind of got sucked into their world and has her own, things to share. But she's the one who's the newbie trying to figure out what the heck's going on, because all this stuff is, hidden from normal people. But she has, kind of crashes into that secret world head on and is trying to survive. So it gets pretty intense.
That's awesome. So let's see. Tweep X wants to know, have you ever had a fan guess the ending to a book or a series?
No.
And if so, how do you feel about it?
I never have. And either they don't tell me because they're depressed and, drowning themselves in ice cream and bacon or something. Or
they feel smart and they're good.
Or they feel smart and they just aren't going to tell me. But I have had a lot of people tell me, and in their reviews, you can see their comments are consistently tons of twists and turns. Did not see that coming.
Nice.
So
there you go, Tweep.
Multiple times I've written my characters into a point where I kind of sat back and said, they're dead. They're just all going to die. I need to take a walk and, buy some caskets because this is over.
Like, I can't solve this problem I've trapped them in.
Luckily, my character's a lot smarter than I am. So
and you have more time.
They eventually find ways to figure it out.
That's good. That's good. I like that. And we have time to think about it, where they have to do it immediately.
Yes. So if anyone reads my books and you figure out the ending, definitely let me know.
That would be cool.
Because I probably want to hire you as a consultant.
That's right. I need you to go through these books. Thanks, man.
That's right.
Let's see. Tara wants to know, since you hike, do you like to dictate your books like KJA does?
I do, actually. And he inspired me to do that. My last several books have been dictated for the first draft. Of course, I have to go in and manually type and everything for editing. But when I first started dictating, it was painfully terrible. Like,
that's what I'm afraid of.
And then I listened to it and I was just like, I need to delete this right now. If this ever came out, I would lose all credibility as a writer forever. So it took a little while to develop the skills. And since I write big books, I don't have a transcriptionist because I have to pay a couple $1,000 a book to have them type all this stuff. So I dictate the punctuation and everything. And then I have Dragon software transcribe it for me.
Do the best it can.
And sometimes as I go through a series, it gets better and better and better.
Oh, good.
But I still have to go through. It gets trained. I still have to go through and make edits, but that allows me to do kind of a first pass edit. And the result is actually pretty solid.
Nice.
My new book that I'm working on, Dragon hasn't really trained itself well yet. So it's kind of painful at this point. Going through the editing, it's like, really? You get that wrong?
You're like, again? I spelled it for you.
We're going to renegotiate Dragon's online privileges or something because
that's right.
It's not living up to its part of the bargain.
Well, I found out it should be getting paid thousands of dollars, and now it feels cheated.
Yeah, well, it's getting lazy, I think. I don't know.
It's like, haha, you need me now. You're dependent on me.
My new book is totally different world, different character names, and they're all bizarre names. My new series is a humorous epic fantasy.
Yay!
Set in a really fun world.
These are my favorite.
And all my characters their names are kind of nuts, honestly. And we're having fun with the naming things, which is cool. So my working title is Almost Heroes.
Okay. Okay, I like
And
it.
the magic system in the world is based on the food pyramid, which is awesome. So our main character, he's a bacon master. He can channel the power of bacon to make himself awesome and almost indestructible because bacon makes everything better.
That's right. That's right.
His name is Wimple Dillskin. And
So
so
shouldn't they be pickles? I mean, I'm confused.
he's an amazing, amazing bacon master, but he faints at the sight of blood. So he's got an issue.
Hmm.
Um,
So he's
and
not
in this
slaughtering his own
world,
pigs.
in this world, the apocalypse is coming, and it's been coming for quite a few generations, but there's been a whole team assembled to stop the apocalypse in every generation. And they're known as the Reapers of the Apocalypse. And they're super boss in this whole process where they stop the apocalypse.
Mhm.
And it's coming again, but the current team is sidelined by some malicious contract negotiations, and we need new heroes like right now. And what we get are almost heroes. So Wimple and his team get dropped into this crazy adventure that they're totally unprepared for. So there's a meat mage who can prepare meats to slowly channel the abilities of the animals that the meats come from. So generally, the powerful meat magers are pulling from, predator meats like lions and, things like that.
Mhm.
But she's from a family that's been ostracized for various reasons. So she's only ever been allowed to work with chicken.
Hey, those things are mean.
They can be.
You could
So-
definitely use some of those powers.
So there may be some cool stuff that she can do. When she's surprised, she may try to just shove children under her jacket. I don't know. There's some things that she has to figure out. So
I've never seen a chicken do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
So it's a thing, I think, that just protecting the young, I guess. That's what I hear anyway. I haven't met a chicken before, so we're working on that.
My mom
Wikipedia,
raises chickens. We can arrange a visit.
We might have to.
Oh, I want to know
her-
if there's a Scotch mage, because now he's on board.
Oh, we haven't gotten a Scotch mage yet. There is a coffee wizard, though.
Oh.
And that's a dwarf, but in order to do his craftsmanship, he has to drink a lot of coffee and he gets the shakes, so he can only work with origami. So he has some issues. We have a shovel knight named Noops, and he's incredibly boss warrior who uses a long-handled shovel, and pretty amazing stuff. We have
That's
the spice
awesome.
wizard, and we've got confectioners who can make all these great sweets that addict people. We have the evil cheese wizards who work in poisons and curses, and they are the patrons of lawyers, of course. So don't trigger the cream cheese clause. We'll just put that right out there. So anyway, that book is turning out amazing. I'm having so much fun with it.
As if nothing else, you're obviously having fun, which means we will have fun reading it too.
I sure hope so.
So,
It's all, I mean, it's funny and the names are silly, but it's going to be a huge, intense, epic adventure where they're slinging around exploding muffins and bacon and, cheese curses and all this stuff in a very epic way. It'll leave you crying.
That's
with that
awesome.
spice in your eye, it does it to you. The spice wizards can do some crazy things.
I bet. Just a little pepper makes me sneeze. So yeah, I would be very vulnerable to the spice powers.
That's right.
That's right.
So working on that right now.
That's so fun. Tara says it's a giant food fight. Yes.
Yeah, it could be. And
definitely.
We're going to.
It makes me wonder what's destroying the world, though. I'm very curious. I do have to read this. Don't tell me.
It's going to be crazy. Let me tell you.
Excited.
But we're going to be doing some artwork to go with it soon, and probably doing a Kickstarter later in the summer.
Oh, that's cool.
Try to have a lot of fun with it. So more to come.
It's
going to be great. I'm super excited about it.
You have to let us know, and I'll share it on our page so people know when it's happening. That would be cool. So let's see. We've been having so much fun. I think we are ready for our lightning round. You ready for the lightning round?
Absolutely.
These are the most important questions we ask. All right. Are we ready?
Ready.
Where would you like to vacation?
Next, Ireland.
Oh, good choice. What is the best thing you have ever, or at least recently, eaten?
Oh, that's a good question. We did this bacon wrap, like bacon wrapped whole chicken. That was
Ooh.
amazing. Ever do a bacon weave?
I
Super cool.
have, but I usually do it like with pork. Like we do it with a lot of pork. So
Yeah.
with like pork loins, it's too dry. But I've never tried a chicken.
My son has a cookbook, all bacon cookbook that we're starting to get into, and it's awesome.
He wants
So
to be the superhero.
I may channel some of that into Wimple because
Hmm.
he needs good bacon recipes.
I love that. I love that. What is
Actually,
your
I think my
favorite?
shirt has bacon. Oh no, I didn't wear the bacon shirt.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, different shirt. That's all good. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
That's boring for anyone else, but good for me. Vanilla.
It had to
Like,
happen. It had to
yep,
happen, Frank. I think you're our first. And
yep.
considering all the stuff you just told us about you right, I would not have guessed vanilla, just for the record.
So like classic vanilla bean
Hmm.
is awesome, and then you put stuff in it.
Hmm.
I'd say my second choice is Ben and Jerry's coconut almond fudge chip.
Ooh.
They don't make that one a lot anymore, but when I can get it,
Hmm.
um, the world just has to stop for a while.
I had a coconut almond chocolate creamer I put in my coffee, and I was like, oh, it's like drinking a
There
candy
you go.
bar. And I can write. This is like magic. I must
That's
have
right.
more.
You're just like, give me the creamer, hold the coffee, right?
Right. No, I need the caffeine or I can't write. So can zombies climb?
That's a good question. If it's a zombie spider, I think it could.
Okay. All right.
If
How
it's a
about a zombie
regular,
human?
if it's a regular zombie human, I'd say no.
Oh, it's a Steven one. There you
Yeah.
go. We have a divided
Unless you're
crowd when it
like
comes
in
to
like
that.
a World War Z kind of zombie where they're like super enhanced zombies, and those are cool, but those are kind of a different kind of zombie. Or what's the one with Will Smith? Those zombies were pretty intense too.
The Legend, I Am Legend
I Am
one.
Legend. That was
Yeah,
a freaky movie. Whoa,
that was a freaky movie.
very well
I'm not
done.
sure if they were zombies or vampires. It was very confusing.
But I was a fan of the first few seasons of the what's the zombie TV show?
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. And then I kind of got away from it. But
Hmm.
one of
That
these
was
days
me
I
too.
need to get back to it. Great, great show. So when I
Yeah.
think zombies, I think Walking Dead zombies. That's just me.
Yeah. See, for right, that's I think most of us think. But I think with the Walking Dead, it was when the good guys were becoming the bad guys. Then I wasn't interested anymore. Like you
Yeah,
said, life's hard enough, right? I need some kind
yeah.
of something to cling on to. It can all these horrible things can be happening, but there has to be
Hmm.
something. And then when the good guys were becoming the bad guys and I didn't know which way was which, I'm like, you know what? That's great. I know this is realistic,
Hmm.
but it's not fun for me, so I'm out.
Right, right. And in my books, sometimes I play with the question of who are the real bad guys.
Hmm.
But our heroes, we know, or our main characters, are trying to be good guys.
Right.
You know,
And
they
trying
may be
counts.
finding out that
Hmm.
different governments or different, legends or something may be false, or they may be
Hmm.
getting fed misinformation, but they're trying their best to be good guys.
Hmm.
And that's generally what I tend to write about are people trying to become good people. And in the
Right.
new book, Almost Heroes, I
Mhm.
think people relate to that, not just because of the humor, but because these are people thrown into situations they're not really prepared to handle, but they need to choose to try to become heroic
Mhm.
because people count on them.
That's right.
So,
Now's your chance. That's like just
so
us
that should
regular
be
people
that should be
watching
good.
movies thinking we could totally be the hero. Well, now's your chance, can you?
That's right. That's right. You could
Here's
be
your chance.
Aragorn. That's
That's
right.
right.
Go run 300 leagues. I'll see you when you get back.
I'm already out. Okay. So who is your favorite band or musician?
Oh, good question. I like listening to music, but I'm terrible at remembering bands. Um, One of my favorites is
Mhm.
Linkin Park.
Good choice. Good
And I
choice.
would say that because their song Numb
Hmm.
is the theme song for Set in Stone in my head.
How clever. I don't have theme songs for my books. I should do that.
So that one, if it becomes big enough that we want to make a movie or something, I'd totally love to make that song like in the soundtrack somewhere.
It's nice. You're like, we must license this one. Get it. Get the contract.
Yeah.
What part of your daily routine is an absolute must?
Sleeping.
That's fair. Oddly, that's not one of mine. So that's
Okay. So yeah, I like sleeping. I like to eat. a couple times a day at least.
Uh-huh.
But things that must happen, that's a good question because I get a lot of different stuff going on. But a day is definitely a good day when I can work on a story, like actually writing a book. Sometimes I'm editing, sometimes I'm writing first drafts, but some days I'm doing marketing. Some days I'm doing other
Part of the
things. I'm
gig.
doing one of my other jobs or something like that, and I don't get to write either a new chapter or edit an existing chapter. And those days are kind of dark and dreary. So yeah, gotta write.
I feel you. That's awesome. And so today, normally we have a giveaway and someone wins, but you have something even better for everyone.
That's
So
right.
can you tell them what it is that you have for our awesome listeners?
I will. But after a long discussion, I keep thinking I should be giving away bacon or something, right?
Maybe if they leave reviews.
That's right. I'll mail you some. Yeah.
It'll be in a frame though. Don't eat it. Don't.
Yeah, I'll eat some for you. So anyway, for kind of in celebration for what we're doing here, I set on Amazon the ebook for Set in Stone, which is book one of my Petrolus series. The ebook is free today and for the next couple of days. So go grab a copy on me. That would be great.
There you go.
And also, if anyone is interested in signing up for my readers group, you get a couple emails from me, welcome you to the group, and you get links to try not only Set in Stone for free as an ebook, but also Saving Face from my Face Takers for free. So you can try both of my series at no risk to yourself. And then you just need to understand that you will be addicted and you'll have to buy all the rest.
That's the way it works.
That's okay. No one's ever complained.
Never. No one complains to writers ever. Zafo, are you going to share the link? Zafo put the link up for you, so it'll be nice and easy for you to click on it.
Perfect.
That's great. Y'all sample these books. They are so awesome. There you go. frankmorin.org, readers group sign up. So if y'all just go to that one. And for anyone listening on your podcast, I will put that in the show notes. So you can grab that link from the show notes so that you can get on and get some Frank, man. So you were awesome. So Frank, so that's one place they can go is to your readers group, but where else can fans go to find you and your work?
I'm online everywhere. So you can go to my webpage if you want to order signed paperbacks or hardcovers or signed ebooks.
Signed ebooks?
You can get signed ebooks.
I'm nodding and then it all hit.
Yeah. You actually can get signed ebooks from my website.
What?
It's the only place you can get signed ebooks. Get the signature page right in there. It's awesome.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
that's cool.
And I'm on Amazon, and the first 3 of the Petrolus books are audio on Audible, and they're amazing, and in other audio vendors, actually. And some of my books are out wide. The Face Takers are out wide, kind of everywhere. And the Petrolus right now are pretty much just my webpage or Amazon. Or you can order the physical copies and stuff through Amazon, or any of the other online retailers can access them and order copies for you. And if you want signed copies, you can get them from me.
Sweet. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. So now that Frank is your new favorite author, please make sure to review his work. You can also review us wherever it is you get your podcast. You can also follow on Twitch or subscribe on YouTube to keep up with all of our awesome interviewees. And next week we have Gama Martinez on.
Awesome.
So
Gama's awesome.
Frank
He's got
knows
a great
Gama.
new book.
Yeah, I'm excited. I just started it, so I'm very excited about that. So, we have Gama on next week. And thank you very much, and we'll see you then.